Okay, so have you ever found yourself, repeating those positive affirmations, like the ones you hear about, I am rich, or maybe I am successful? You say them hoping they'll, I don't know, sink in and become true, but then maybe you felt a bit, flat. Yeah. Or even kind of worse, because that little voice inside just goes, yeah, right.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a really common thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You hear all these successful people saying affirmations are key. They swear by them. But for a lot of us, there feels like this huge gap, between the words coming out of our mouths and what we actually truly believe deep down.
That's the crux of it, really.
Exactly. So today, in this deep dive, we're going to unpack why those traditional affirmations often seem to fall short. And we'll introduce something.
Well, it's a really powerful concept called affirmations. It sounds maybe like a typo, but it's not. It's a whole system, actually, designed to help you get what you want by tapping into how your mind naturally works.
It leverages that natural process. Yeah, it might just completely shift how you think about self-improvement.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Why do they often fail? If someone's saying, I am confident, but feels totally insecure inside, what's going on?
Well, it boils down to that gap we just mentioned. The book puts it really clearly. It's the space between the statement and your genuine gut-level belief. If you tell yourself, I am rich, when, your bank account is screaming otherwise, there's an immediate internal conflict.
Right. That inner skeptic wakes up.
Exactly. It pipes up with, who are you kidding? Or that's just wishful thinking.
Yeah.
And because there's no real faith behind the words, they just hang there. They don't have the power to create change because your subconscious mind is basically rolling its eyes.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. The belief isn't there to back it up. But this is where Noah St. John, the author, introduces this twist, right? What if it's not about statements at all?
This is the core idea of affirmations. They are questions, and not just any random questions. They're crafted very specifically. They're designed to make your mind automatically start looking for answers, but by focusing on what you already have or what supports the thing you desire.
Okay. How does that work?
Well, think about it. Your brain is fundamentally wired to answer questions. It's almost a reflex. If I ask you, what color is the sky? Your brain doesn't argue. It just looks for the answer, right?
Yeah, it just answers blue or whatever it is.
Precisely. Affirmations tap into that. Our minds want coherence. They want to resolve an open question. So compare asking something negative like, why am I so broke? Your mind obliges and lists all the reasons: job sucks, bills are high, etc. It reinforces the negative state.
Yeah, been there.
But flip it. Ask a positive, empowering question like, why am I so abundant? Or why do things always work out for me? Now your mind starts searching for evidence, however small, that supports that idea.
So it shifts the focus of that automatic search function.
Exactly. It reorients where your brain puts its attention.
And there's some really powerful stories in the book about this, like Stephanie, the 13-year-old.
Yes, that's a striking example.
Yeah, she was apparently a great kid, good student, but had this really severe compulsive worry disorder, like worrying about everything constantly. Couldn't sleep well. Her parents tried, everything, self-help, prayer, therapy consultations. Nothing really broke through the anxiety.
It sounds incredibly tough for the whole family.
Totally. But then her mom, Mary, she goes to one of Noah St. John's seminars, learns about affirmations, and thinks, okay, let's try this. She shares it with Stephanie. And Stephanie, to her credit, gave it a shot. Started asking herself these questions, things like, why is it good to sleep the whole night? Or why does everyone love me? Also, why do I love myself? And importantly, why don't I worry so much?
Simple questions, but profound in their framing.
And the results were apparently quite dramatic and fast. Her worrying just eased up significantly. She got less anxious, slept better, seemed genuinely happier. It's amazing how shifting the internal question changed her state.
It really shows how quickly our internal landscape can adapt when we feed it the right kind of input. We're directing that subconscious search engine.
Right. And it wasn't just her. The mom, Mary, she saw this massive change and started using affirmations for her own business, saw her sales go up. And the dad, who apparently wasn't happy with his job, used them too and found a role he actually liked better.
Wow, so the whole family kind of adopted it.
Yeah, within one family, you see it working across different areas: health, career, business. It really shows how versatile the concept is.
That's a powerful testament.
So, okay, this brings that back to, for you listening. How do you actually do this? The book is a pretty clear 4-step process. What's step 1?
Step 1 is simply ask. But this isn't just asking casually. It's about really digging deep to understand what you truly desire. What do you really want in those core areas: health, relationships, finances, family life. So many of us just kind of drift without ever stopping to ask that fundamental question.
We set goals, maybe, but maybe not the right goals, or without really connecting to the desire behind them.
Exactly. And the book makes a great point. Goals without belief are basically pointless. It uses a baseball analogy. Imagine trying to hit a fastball from a pro pitcher. Your desire is to hit it, sure, but your belief might be pretty shaky, right? So you tense up, you swing late, you probably miss.
Yeah, definitely.
Now imagine hitting a ball sitting right there on a tee. Totally different feeling. You believe you can hit it, your confidence is high, your action is smooth, and bam, you connect.
Okay, I get that. The belief dictates the action and the result.
Precisely. That link between your goal, your desire, and your belief is crucial. So step 1 is getting crystal clear on what you genuinely want, setting the foundation for that belief.
Okay, ask. Got it.
Yeah.
Identify the real desire, build that initial connection.
Yeah.
Then what? How do you actually frame this desire using the affirmations method? You mentioned the word why.
Yes, that takes us straight to step 2, affirm. This is where you take that desire and frame it as a question, starting with why. This is really the engine of the whole process.
So instead of saying, I am wealthy,
you ask, why am I so wealthy? Or why am I so prosperous?
okay, why? What's special about that word?
The power of why lies in how it directs your subconscious mind. When you ask, why am I wealthy? Your mind doesn't try to argue if it's true yet. Instead, it starts scanning your current reality for any supporting evidence, even tiny things. It might notice, oh, I have a roof over my head, or I have a reliable car, or I just bought these really great shoes, or I ate a good meal today.
So it finds existing proof points no matter how small.
Exactly. It finds things you do possess, elements of abundance or well-being that are already present, and collecting these little bits of evidence starts to subtly strengthen the belief that, yes, maybe you can be wealthy, or maybe you already are in some ways.
That's clever. It sidesteps the immediate no you're not reaction.
It does. It's different from asking, say, how did I become so rich? Your mind might just draw a blank on that if it hasn't happened, but why am I rich? Prompts a search for existing resources and possibilities. It gives the belief something to anchor to.
I like that. Finding the existing anchors. Okay, so you ask, you affirm using why. What's step 3?
Step 3 is accept. This is about embracing your current reality, whatever it is, while simultaneously nurturing that growing belief. It's crucial to understand affirmations aren't about finding immediate, logical answers to your why questions. You don't need to figure out exactly why you're supposedly so wealthy right now.
Okay, so it's not an intellectual exercise.
Not primarily. It's more about allowing the question to shift your focus. You accept where you are, but you keep focusing your mind on what you do have, on the possibilities the question opens up. This naturally fosters positivity, and that positivity helps dissolve the negative self-talk, strengthening the belief even further.
So how do you practice this acceptance and belief building?
The process the book suggests is quite immersive. You take your why questions, write them down, read them, speak them aloud, say them silently. Really listen to yourself asking them. And you repeat this, patiently, consistently, until that belief starts to feel less like an alien concept and more like, well, a part of you. It's like planting a seed and watering it.
Okay, that makes sense. It needs repetition and reinforcement. And there's another great story here, isn't there? Cinderella.
Yes, the marathon runner, a truly inspiring one.
Yeah, she was training for a marathon, I think it was 2013, and then gets this bombshell news she needs heart surgery. Her heart was weak. She'd had scary symptoms like passing out during runs.
Imagine the fear, especially for an athlete.
Right. But she has the surgery, it's successful, and her doctor actually clears her to run the marathon. But she was, understandably, terrified, kept picturing herself collapsing.
Totally understandable fear.
But during the race, whenever those fears crept in, or she felt weak, she started using affirmations. She asked herself things like, why is my heart so strong? Why am I so confident? And crucially, why do I believe I can finish this race?
Turning the fear into empowering questions.
Exactly. And she said it wasn't just mental gymnastics. It genuinely boosted her confidence. She kept going. Then she sees other runners really struggling, looking like they're about to quit. And she decides to share what she's doing. Tells a group of women about affirmations.
Wow, sharing it mid-race.
Yeah. And they start doing it too, repeating the questions together. And apparently, the mood just shifted. They started feeling stronger, they were laughing, and they all finished the race together.
That's incredible. The power of shared belief, almost.
Right. Cinderella herself said she was still scared, but she believed she could do it and trusted the affirmations. It really shows that blend of accepting the reality, the fear, the past surgery, but focusing on the possibility and belief.
A perfect illustration of step 3, accept and believe, which logically leads us to the final step. Step 4, act. Take consistent action. This is so important. Affirmations are incredibly powerful, but they aren't magic wands that bypass effort.
Right. So you can't just sit on the couch asking, why am I so fit?
Yeah.
And expect results without moving.
Exactly. The book is very clear. Anything is possible, but achieving results still requires you to do the work. Consistent action is fundamental. What affirmations do is supercharge your belief. And that empowered belief becomes the rocket fuel for your actions. They make the work feel more possible, more aligned, less like a struggle.
So they support the action, they don't replace it.
Precisely. They optimize your effort by aligning your mindset.
The story of Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen with Chicken Soup for the Soul comes to mind here. That's in the book too, right?
Yes. A classic example of belief fueling persistence.
Jack gets the idea. In meditation, they write the book together. Seems straightforward enough.
But then they try to get it published.
And the rejections start rolling in.
Not just a few. 144 rejections. Can you even imagine hearing no 144 times before someone finally said yes? It boggles the mind. The level of belief and sheer persistence required is extraordinary. They must have had such a strong inner conviction.
That conviction, likely bolstered by their own internal dialogue, maybe even early forms of affirmations, translated directly into relentless action. They just kept going.
And that's the point the book hammers home. A strong belief, nurtured by these kinds of empowering questions, fundamentally changes the results you get because it drives you to take consistent, unwavering action, even when it takes longer than you hoped. Effort is non-negotiable.
Makes total sense. Belief fuels action. Action gets results. Okay, so this isn't just for, huge life goals like writing a bestseller or running a marathon. Can it work on smaller, everyday things like bad habits?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly effective for habits because habits at their core are built from a loop of thoughts, words, and actions. To change the action, the habit itself, you really need to change the thought pattern that drives it. Bad habits often stem from ingrained negative or limiting thoughts.
Like, I'll never be able to quit this, or just don't have the willpower.
Exactly those kinds of thoughts. Affirmations offer a way to directly challenge and reprogram those underlying thought habits.
There's another great anecdote in the book about this, with smoking, right?
Yes. The woman who smoked constantly.
Yeah, apparently she smoked every 10 minutes for 20 years, tried everything, patches, pills, hypnosis, you name it. Nothing worked. She didn't even like smoking anymore, but felt powerless to stop.
A very common trap with addiction.
So a consultant works with her. Doesn't give her a complex program. Just gives her one single question to read, maybe once or twice a day. The question was, why is it so easy for me to quit smoking?
Just that one question.
Yep, that was it. A few weeks later, the consultant visits her house. They chat for an hour and a half, and the consultant notices she hasn't smoked once. The woman couldn't even really explain it. She just said, quitting felt easy this time. Effortless, almost.
Wow. After 20 years and failed attempts.
Exactly. The only difference was consistently asking that one empowering question. It highlights the profound power of affirmations, working on that subconscious level to change the underlying pattern.
It really does. Changing the thought changes the game.
So wrapping this up, the big takeaway here seems to be that affirmations are these powerful, specific questions. They work with your mind's natural tendency to seek answers. They strengthen your belief. They fuel your action. And they shift you from just kind of wishing for things to actually moving towards achieving them. It's about getting your subconscious pulling in the same direction as your conscious desires.
Beautifully put. And it's worth remembering, as you start using these, change isn't always a straight line. You will likely still hear those old negative voices pop up sometimes, the ones saying, this is silly, or you can't really do this. The key is recognizing them for what they are, load programming, and gently, persistently returning to your empowering questions. Don't let them derail you. Consistency is crucial.
Good reminder. Ignore the inner critic. Stick with the questions. So for everyone listening, here's something to think about. What's one area in your life right now where you feel stuck or where you really desire a change? What why question could you start asking yourself, maybe even today, to begin unlocking a belief or a possibility you haven't fully tapped into yet? Give it a try. Embrace this different approach. You might be amazed at the shift you start to experience.